Happy New Year and welcome to tonight's show. I am your host, Tina Dawson, the owner of True Blue Designs, and it is truly an honor to be before you this evening and to introduce to you tonight's guest. We are streaming simultaneously on our Facebook page and on our YouTube channel. So please like our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, press the notification bell so that you can be notified of upcoming content. Before I get started, I want to say congratulations to the Georgia Bulldogs for pulling it off. You're national champions. It took you 41 years, but you finally got that cloud from over your head. So congratulations to the Georgia Bulldogs. Go Dogs. All right. Tonight's guest, I am so excited to introduce you to him. He is none other than Georgia's musical extraordinaire, Mr. Jody Mayfield. Jody has performed and worked with a lot of musical greats, such as Gladys Knight, Jermaine Dupri, Dizzy Gillespie, Grover Washington Jr., and so many more. So help me give a warm welcome tonight to Mr. Jody Mayfield. Jody, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hey, Jody, how are you?
I'm doing just fine.
Thank you so much for allowing me to introduce you, to interview you. Look, to interview you.
Okay. Well, I'm here.
Well, thank you so much. Well, we're going to start off by allowing you to tell the viewers about yourself.
Oh, well, not much to tell. I'm a native Atlantan. I was born within 285, okay? Not in East Point or College Park. I was born in Atlanta, all right? So let's get that straight, all right? I was not born now at Grady. I was born at Hugh Spalding Hospital.
Really? Okay.
Yes, not everybody in Atlanta is a Grady baby.
I see.
So you'll know, right? There's Hugh Spalding, Grady, there's Holy Family. There was some others, right? So I went to Douglas High School. Shout out to the Mighty Astros. Okay. I went to Clark Atlanta University. I was a college dropout, and I dropped out. Yes, believe it or not, I went to all the classes except for the music classes. I didn't go to the English and math, and so ran out of money. Was homeless for 3 years.
Really?
Oh yes, rode the train back and forth from what is now what we used to call Hightower to Avondale. Oh yes, for about 3 years, and got married years later. Went back to school, and in 2018, and graduated from Morris Brown, and went on and got a master's at Southern Utah University, and I teach at Morris Brown right now.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
That purple. See that purple? That purple right there. Purple, Morris Brown. All right.
So how long have you been in the music industry?
Oh gosh, you mean as far as getting paid to do it? Probably, yeah. I've been doing music all my life, playing for churches. If you want to get paid, you're getting paid since the early 80s. Yeah, as far as getting paid now.
And I heard you say that you started off. Did you start off playing in church?
Okay, well here's my musical backstory.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so every superhero has a backstory. All right.
Right.
Well, mine is this. Growing up, my sister was a music teacher. All right.
Okay.
And so, of course, she brought instruments home, and somehow some drumsticks came home, and I used to beat on the bar stool and everything. This is like 5 and 6, and there's a piano in the house because my sister is a what? Music teacher. Right. She went and graduated from Clark, and so I'm growing up playing and banging on the piano. In the 4th grade at Hogger Brooks Academy, which no longer exists, it was one of the first Black private schools in Atlanta. All right.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. M.V. Sullivan, Mavis Sullivan was the principal and founder. And so my sister said to me, "You are going to play an instrument." And I told her, "I don't want to play an instrument." She says, you're going to play an instrument. Okay. Oh, wow. What am I going to do? I'm what, in the 4th grade. So she says, what do you want to play? Oh, I don't know, trumpet. No, you're going to play saxophone. Okay. Okay. So she bought a saxophone. This is 4th grade. Mr. Bell Castro was my first teacher on saxophone. Now you got to remember, I'm still playing the piano, still banging on the piano. Mm-hmm. And I loved it. She told me, when you get to the 8th grade, you can stop. But I didn't stop. Yeah, I just kept going. And so I played first chair, Douglas High School bands in the jazz band, was student conductor. I did musical arrangements for the marching band. Went on from there to Clark, played in Clark's jazz band. Got a chance to go overseas and play with a lot of greats over there in the Montreux Jazz Festival. By this time, I'm playing piano for the jazz band. And so the rest is sort of history. You keep going, played in a lot of different churches, played in bands, my own bands. I actually played with a group called Princess and Starbreeze, and her name, Princess, was AKA Deborah Killings. Okay. And Deborah Killings is actually the voice, the demo voice behind TLC. So all those records, yeah, she would sing the background, and they would basically come in and imitate what she sang. And Deborah Killings is she's an amazing bass player. And so I play, that's the corporate band scene. Making a long story short, started working for Evander Holyfield in around 96. Yes, 95, 90, not 96, 2006. Worked for his company for about 3 years, his record label. Got a chance to really see the inner workings of the record business. And I'm still doing music, because musicians, you have to do several things at one time, you know. Right. A typical musician would be playing at church. They'll be gigging, doing albums, productions, and so on and so forth. And the rest is history. And so there you go.
Yeah, I didn't know that Evander Holyfield had a record label. Like, I learned something new.
Yes, Real Deal Records was the name of the record label.
Okay. Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that answered a couple of my questions that was on my list.
Okay. Okay. All right.
So let me ask you this. Yes. I was talking to someone, and they're a professional musician, and they were saying that to them, to him, that church music, he feels that church music was the hardest type of music to play. What do you feel? About that, and which style of music is your favorite?
Okay, all right. So let's get into some music history. Okay.
Okay.
Depends on what type of church music you're talking about. Okay. There is black gospel. Right. There's CCM, contemporary Christian music, which is basically pop music. Okay, that's very easy to play. It's usually 3 chords. You know. An example of that would be the tune "How Great Is Our God." That's CCM. Okay. You have urban CCM, which is like a Fred Hammond or Kirk Franklin. Okay. But then you've got real black gospel. That would be the Mississippi Mass Choir, James Cleveland, Milton Brunson, and a lot of these. That style of music has a lot of jazz in it. I mean, a whole lot, because you have to look at the history of black music in America. It's one big giant song. So it is not as though gospel is something by itself. No, gospel is on the same line as jazz and the blues, because Thomas Dorsey, the father of gospel music, was a blues musician, and he played with Ma Rainey. He was the keyboardist for her. So but at the time, his music was rejected because he was bringing the blues or that sound into the church. Now, that's the sound in the street, but he was bringing it, and he got a little pushback. But now, that's just part of Black America. And so that's one aspect of it. So one instance, it can be difficult. They can have 1,001 chord changes in it.
Right.
Right. Or you take, here is Total Praise. Here we go. Richard Smallwood. I mean, it's a beautiful piece, but it's a difficult piece to play because there's so many chord changes. It doesn't go here. But if you take Chris Tomlin, How Great Is Our God, it's the same thing over and over again. It's
Right.
D flat, B flat minor, G flat, A flat. That's it. There's no more. But with Richard Smallwood, some even newer, some of Fred's Hammond's, some of his material, like what's this? He had one song, I can't think of it, but you have to sit down and literally learn it. And sometimes I write it out. Right. If a choir director wants to do that song. So it's nothing you're going to pick up and say, we're going to do this Sunday, and we have one rehearsal. That's not going to happen. So Black gospel is a very heightened sense of complexity, but it's a beautiful complexity. And it speaks to the Black experience in America. Right. And unfortunately, we've gotten rid of all of our choirs. We've got praise teams now. Right. And I do miss that era of the choirs.
Yeah, right. And it's a big difference. If those of us who grew up in church, we know exactly what you're talking about. There's a certain type of feel that you get from a mass choir versus a praise team. It's totally different.
Totally different, right? And hopefully choirs will come back, because things do go in cycles. But the gospel music, this root of it is the blues. And the blues is a healing mechanism. And for anybody who is been oppressed, the blues is healing. Right. And that's why it just speaks to people, especially if you're in a downstate, man, you can hear the blues. You hear Mahalia Jackson, that's the blues. You hear the Clark sisters, that's the blues. Aretha Franklin, that's the blues. And maybe some people don't like to say it like that, but it is what it is.
Right. Is it safe to say that the blues music is the undertone for a lot of different styles of music, like country?
Yes, it is. And you can trace the etymology, or the if you were to go backwards in time, all of American music starts in Africa. Okay. All of it. If we had never come over here, then music in America wouldn't sound like it sounds.
Oh, wow.
It would not. It is a major African impact on American music, because you got, for example, Amazing Grace is a tune that the slave ship owner heard Africans singing. Wasn't singing the words, but the tune. When you get over here, the songs we sang in the field, the word songs, for example, a lot of the Negro spirituals are actually code songs. For example, and they don't mean what you think they mean. For example, steal away to Jesus means that I'm getting ready to run away. Swing low, sweet chariot, meet me down by this area. So, because swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. That means I'm preparing to escape from the plantation. And those are code songs. And so, there were spiritual, Negro spirituals, but they're also code songs that the slaves were singing so that the massa would know what he was talking, what they were planning.
Right.
They just enjoyed the music, and these Negroes out in the field just slaving away and singing, but not knowing what's getting ready to happen. All right. Wow. Now I can keep going if you want me to now.
That was deep. Yeah, I did not know that. That was deep. What do you think is what one misconception about either music or being a musician?
Oh.
Yeah, can you give us one and then dispel the myth?
Not all musicians. Okay. There's a huge, a lot of different degrees between a so-called, say, top 40 Drake, you know what I mean, musician who's making millions of dollars, and a starving musician. Okay. Very few musicians are starving musicians. Okay. They work regular jobs. Okay. And I give you a case in point to show you the myth. I had this myth. I had a guy who was a drummer at a church that I used to play for. And man, he played for this major artist. And he would come off the road. I would be so jealous, so jealous, so jealous. He would say, yeah, we went here, we did this, we did that, we did this, that, and the other. And I'm thinking, wow, I wish I could do that. Until the day when he was no longer on tour. That artist didn't want to tour anymore. So now he's back at home.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so I went to pick him up for church. And I picked him up, and he lived in a 1-bedroom apartment with a roommate.
Really?
Yes. But now on the surface, he looks like he is just really being very successful. Now watch this. Me, on the other hand, I'm playing at church, getting paid every week. Every week. Like clockwork. All right. If he doesn't tour, he doesn't get paid.
Right.
So who is the most successful musician? The guy who tours sporadically, or the guy who has a consistent situation? You tell me. Or, there you have it.
No, I totally understand. Stacey said, wow.
Hey, Stacey.
Wow. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Right.
And it takes you were saying that there's a large spectrum between here and here. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's almost saying you can't say all Black people act alike. Right. And not every musician's situation is what you think it is. And then it just depends. And it depends on how much you work your craft, how much you perfect your craft, and how much you market your craft. But there are tons of music jobs. For example, a band director is a musician.
Right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, but he gets paid every week.
Right.
He can feed his family off of that. So is he successful? I mean, is he?
I would consider him to be.
Yeah, he's successful because, listen, he's getting paid doing something that he would do for free.
Yes. Yeah, something that he loves. Yep.
Something that he loves. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I teach at Morris Brown, and I teach music. I would do it for free. I love music that much that I would do it for free. I'm not going to do it for free, but I would do it for free. And I did do it for free for about 2 years while Morris Brown was getting back on his feet.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
So, all right.
You said this to me the other day when I was talking to you, and I'm gonna repeat it, and then I'm gonna let you expound on it, right?
Okay, all right.
And when you said it to me, it was very, very encouraging. So I really appreciate this.
Okay.
And you said to me in our conversation that the only difference between me and someone else is the amount of time that I spend with my instrument, right?
That's it.
And I can be as good as I choose to be, but it's going to take me spending more time with my instrument. And sometimes what happens is we quickly compare ourselves to other people. Right. But the only difference between me and the next person is the amount of time that I spend with my instrument. Can you expound a little bit on that?
Here it is. It's not that guy is more talented than you are. Right. He just practiced more than you did. That's it. Right. Study more. It's not that she sings better than you. She just did it more than you did. And so what happens is sometimes people think that music is something free or something that just happens. If I don't practice, there's an expression. It says, go 1 day without practicing. I know. Go 2 days without practicing. The critics know. Go 3 days without practicing. The audience knows. Right. It's something that you have to do over and over again because, as we say, you don't play, you'll lose it. So I have to practice every single day for the rest of my life if I want to stay up on a certain level of competition. Now, if I stop playing, because I've been in gigs and I haven't practiced, and the brain says we are going to play this line of notes. Comes from the brain, all right? Brains, and we're gonna play this, and it's in your head, and you see it, and it's like, yes. The brain sends the signal down to the arms and down to the hands. And the hands say, no, we're not playing that. Brain says, yes, you are. Signal goes through. And when the hands do it, instead of doing, it's blah, 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 blam. You're missing notes and everything. And then the hands say to the brain, I told you not to do that. So you need to slow down. You cannot go and be virtuosic today because you did not practice. You didn't warm my hands up. And the neural paths that were carved have faded away. Now you know how to do it, but your hands, it's muscle memory. Yeah. You know it, right. There you go.
And you're right, because I can see the difference. You know, I before I practice my lesson, I warm up a certain way. You know, I go through my major minor scale, and then I go through songs that I've learned, you know, just to get me back into, you know, patting my feet and stuff like that. And then I get into the book, because it's almost like I'm trying to, like you say, it's trying to crank up the car, right? Yeah. Right. Yeah, I'm trying to crank up the car. So I have my little way that I go through, but you're so right. If you've got to do it every day. Every day. Because if you don't, you'll play a C and it's a E.
No, there's an expression that one of my old, there's two expressions. That dog won't hunt, and that mule is not going to Bethlehem. All right.
The mule is not going to Bethlehem.
That mule is not going to Bethlehem. That means whatever you're trying is not going to work today.
Right.
Now, right. And so, and because you got to remember now, there's a book out. It's a book called Outliers. And the author says it takes 10,000 hours to become a master at something.
Oh, wow.
10,000 hours. Now, people say, well, and here's a good case in point. Okay. Let's take Michael Jackson. All right. Michael Jackson, amazing young kid, right? All right. And by the time he hit Motown, you look at the amount of hours his dad had put through him, to him, right? But about 10, 15 years later, in the 80s, 81, 82 with Thriller, Michael becomes a whole nother beast, doesn't he?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
He had put in about 10,000, probably more than 10,000 hours. By the time he becomes the king of pop, he's a master at what he does. His dance moves and everything. You can take Mozart. You can take anybody else. If you don't put in those 10,000 hours on a daily basis, you're not going to achieve the greatness that's in your head.
Right.
That's with everybody across the planet. Period.
Right. And I think that's with we're talking about music today, but
and that's anything.
Anything, yes.
Anything.
Yes, that's in anything. Yeah.
You've
got to put in the work.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm gonna ask you this. So describe your creative process when writing new music.
There isn't one.
There's no creative process.
No, you just sort of sit down at the piano and just play. You know, it just doesn't really happen. Some people say, oh, you heard this song in your head. That doesn't happen for me. I get inspiration. Okay. But I don't know. I just do it. You know, and so there's no do this first and do this first and do this first. It I just do it. I'll play something that I like and I'll expand upon there. Yes, that's pretty much it. Now, sometimes I'll close my eyes and just stick my hand on the piano and whatever comes out, because you want it to be an organic process, but pretty much you just sit down and play. And but the key though, now, I'll give you one. Music is a extremely spiritual experience.
Please expound on that. Yes, it is.
And you have to be in contact with your inner person. Okay. And that is where music comes from. Music really doesn't come from here. The mechanics of it, they do come from here, the music theory aspect of it. But you've got to be able to feel what those chords sound like. And every type of progression has a certain feeling. Some bring about a series of romance, some anger, some happy. All right. And what happens is, for example, there are 4 types of chords. There's major, minor, augmented, and diminished.
Okay.
It's those 4 combinations of chord changes that we get everything else.
Okay.
And you got 12 notes to do it in. And so it just depends on what type of mood I'm trying to evoke. But it's more of an organic thing. I just let it flow. And so I'm not the kind of person that says, I'm going to write this type of song. I've done that before, but for it to be something from my soul. So music is an extremely spiritual thing. It can be positive and it can be negative. For example, there's no such thing as bad music. Just the person doing it has a bad intention. Because there is no such thing as a demonic B flat or a Holy Ghost B flat or an angelic B flat. It's just B flat. Period. For example, you could take a knife, a sharp knife, and that knife can either be used to cut a turkey to feed the homeless, or you can kill somebody with it. It's the same thing. And so what we're experiencing in music today is sometimes we have our music, unfortunately, seems to be becoming weaponized. So we have, especially say in the hip hop music, we have situations where it can be detrimental to our people. Yes. And so we have to be responsible, I have to be responsible as a musician to say, I don't want what I'm playing to lead someone down the wrong path. Because let me tell you how powerful it is. Now, all my preachers out there, what I'm about to tell you, you're not going to like. Okay, I'm telling you that now.
Warning.
The most powerful person in a church service is not the preacher. It is the musician.
Yeah.
That is the most powerful person because what he plays provides a soundtrack.
That's right.
For the entire congregation. Okay. So what happens when you go to a movie? The music tells you what to feel.
Right.
That soundtrack. So what I tell young musicians, I say, you have to submit yourself under your pastor because see, you're the pit bull in the room. And you can make certain things happen that the pastor may not want to happen. But because you are playing an instrument, and when people hear music, both sides of their brains light up. That's a powerful tool. You play, and if you're not in tune with the Holy Ghost or the Spirit that's all around you, you will mess up. And that's the power of music. And that's why it's one of the most influential. It can be the blessing of the world. Yeah. Or it can be the most detrimental thing of the world.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that is so true. Because I tell my kids that you have to, if you're going to listen to that hardcore, you can't listen to it long. No. But I told them, I said, music is a spirit.
It is a spirit.
If you stay in that environment too long, you start to become that environment.
You become what you listen to.
Yeah, and I said, you listen to that stuff, you'll become violent, on edge, you know. And I said, you have to balance it out. Right. That's why I'm starting to like instrumental music, right? Okay. Because with instrumental music, I can create the lyrics to it almost kind of.
And I've heard that. I've started to hear a lot of people say that. They like that as opposed to singing, because a lot of times the person singing could have something happening with them. And it's so powerful. I sat in church and I've seen a person come up who had every riff in the book. I mean, they were, whoa, I was like, wow. And then, and the audience does nothing. Hold up. They are amazing as far as the vocal calisthenics.
Yeah.
Then coming up next is this old man with he can barely talk. and he sings something from his heart, the whole crowd is wiped out.
Because they can feel it.
They can feel it. And so one person is singing from their experience, another person is singing from their head, and every riff there, but they are not living it. So if you don't live what you sing, it comes out. And I've seen it happen over and over again, because music exposes what you are. When
you play, say that again. Say that again.
It will expose what you are, good or bad.
Good or bad.
Good or bad. And you can see it, and the audience knows it. You may not be aware of it, but it's like opening up your chest. And this is, and then on what you play. Because again, I try to, and the reason I can speak for myself, I remember, here's another funny story. I was young, 21, 22 years old. So back in the day, you used to have church anniversaries, choir anniversaries, choir anniversaries. Yes. And would be 1,000 choirs there, right?
Yep.
And so I had my little youth choir. We came in, and I'm listening to the choir before us.
Okay.
And I'm looking at the musician, and I'm thinking like, this joker ain't got nothing. He ain't got nothing. I got him. Right? So then when we get up to sing, it was a song. We did an A and B selection. You know the drill. Well, the first song was in 6/8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, you got that right. The next song was in 4/4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Listen, I'm gonna tell you how God has a very strange, sick sense of humor. On the B selection, I'm about to play, but I cannot get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4 out of my head. And in turn, I ended up playing that field on this 4/4 song. And the choir's looking at me like, what are you doing? And for some reason, I kept trying to play this 1, 2, 3, 4, but it came out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It was dreadful. I was like, oh my God, I would never talk about another musician again in my life. I'm like, oh God. Oh.
I can only imagine.
Oh. No, it was a nightmare, because you're trying to fit a square into a circle. And it was a mess. And we got through the song, and I went home. They looked at me like, what are you doing? They were going, these little young kids were going off on me. What were you playing? So there you go. That was the arrogant Jody days. Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Oh no.
Not anymore.
No. If you play Tiddlywinks, I'm gonna applaud you. The fact you got up there and played. And because I'm in competition with me, I'm trying to do the best I can. And keep my head right, keep my heart right, so that when I play, that I can have some type of healing power to come to somebody. There you go.
Yeah. And when I played with you that time at the Calabar, I felt it, because it's funny, because this is what we say about you. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What are you gonna say about me?
When you start playing, your eyes are open and you're looking around and you're encouraging everybody.
Okay.
But as soon as you close your eyes and that head tilts back, you go to another dimension.
Really?
You go to another space. Yeah.
I never noticed that.
Really feel when you said that you put your soul, you put your feeling and your love for music into what you play.
Okay.
We saw that every time I played with you. We've seen that, the audience, people who came to support me.
Really?
Like, oh, he closed his eyes. He's gone.
Really? Listen, let me tell you what's going through my. I'll tell you what's going through my mind is I don't want to look at these people's faces. I don't know if they like this or not.
Stacey said you start to feel it. She was there.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah, and it's now I would tell you it's a battle in your head. It's a battle going on because again, you have no. I'm trying to work on this. It's looking at people and I play, but I don't know if something happens. I just can't do it yet.
Yeah, because the first time I played, the first time I played with you, it was so funny. You closed your eyes and you were going right, and then you played "Mary Had a Little Lamb" in the middle of this song, and
I
I was
did.
like, "Play Mary Had a Little Lamb," and you just it fit. You went and you were. I said, "He just played."
Really? I
Yeah,
don't remember. I don't
yes,
remember.
yes, you did that, Jody.
Oh wow, I don't remember playing that at all.
See, and that's what I'm saying. You when you close your eyes, you're gone to another dimension.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, and you can feel it and you can hear it in your music. Yeah,
Oh wow. Okay.
it's like you tapped in. You know what I mean?
Oh wow. Okay. Well, I'll try to do that again, but I won't think about it. If I think about it, then it won't work.
Right.
Then. Yes.
So let me ask you this: are there any musicians who inspired you or your style of playing?
All right. Here they go as follows. Art Tatum. All right. Go look him up. Oh, Art Tatum, brilliant pianist during the 20th century in the jazz era. Vladimir Horowitz, who was considered one of the greatest classical pianists of the 20th century, bowed down to this brother here. It was said about Art Tatum that he played too much piano.
Oh wow!
It was when I first heard him in high school. I got a record and I said, "How many people are playing on this song?" It's just this one guy.
Wow!
And when he played, Duke Ellington came out. The greats came to see him.
Oh really?
Yes, look him up. Art Tatum, Oscar Peterson. Believe it or not, I don't know. People have heard of Oscar Peterson. He's a great influence. I'm going to go down the line and go up to something like more. Bud Powell from the 1940s, bebop player. Horace Silver. Then we go to more current. Patrice Rushen.
Yes, I know.
All right, Patrice. Now, I'm going to tell you one that might shock people. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Elton John.
Really?
Yes, Elton John.
Wow.
Yes, major influence. Yes, just the way he plays, the rhythmic aspect. I just like Elton John. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And, right. This is Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, Benny and the Jets. That guy. Okay. And of course, Patrice Rushen, her feel. I just love it. James Lloyd, or Pieces of a Dream. And he's the keyboard player with those. Those are probably the most influential as far as pianists are concerned. As far as composers, Curtis Mayfield, Isaac Hayes, love Isaac Hayes. All right. And even the Curtis Mayfield, the Superfly soundtrack. Brilliant Superfly soundtrack. And Barry White. Okay. And so as you notice, I'm talking about these really heavily orchestral type situations. Those are some great composers. Of course, Quincy Jones. Yeah. And Quincy goes back. We're talking about the Quincy who did the Color Purple soundtrack. That Quincy, the one who did the Wiz. That Quincy. And of course, none other than Count Basie, Mary Lou Williams. I actually played with Mary Lou Williams. There's a picture of me sitting next to her at Clark. And Mary Lou Williams is considered one of the architects of bebop. Charlie Parker and Dizzy Gillespie would come to her apartment in Harlem, and they worked out the harmonic structure of what we call bebop today.
Oh, right. Wow.
All right.
Wow. You have a list of people that inspired you.
Yes. Yeah.
So let's discuss your holiday project, a Jody Jazz Christmas. What inspired you to create it?
I wanted to do a Christmas songs that were done in a much more up-to-date style. That was the idea, in mixing a genre called smooth jazz is with that, and which is something that just had a hip beat with it that wasn't too urban, but that anybody could just play it in their house.
Okay.
and they could just, relax. And but they were new takes on old Christmas songs.
Okay.
Right.
And where can people find that project?
Apple Music, Spotify, all digital platforms. And that record went to #1 3 weeks in a row in December on the Smooth Jazz charts.
Congratulations.
And, thank you. And you can hear my whole entire catalog on Apple, Spotify, all it's 50 songs, going back probably 1997. So there's more than, it's a whole bunch of, a lot of it.
Miss Jackson said you have an amazing list of influencers. Thanks for sharing.
Well, thank you, Miss Jackson.
And Stacy says congratulations.
Oh, well, thank you, Stacy.
Okay, but you have a new project out. So let's talk about that.
Oh, that's called Doing the Do. All right.
Doing the Do.
Right. That's a smooth jazz project. Because this is to my musicians out here. Certain albums or certain projects I do. The Doing the Do album is a intentional record for the smooth jazz market. Okay. And so to my musicians out there, if you want to get involved in the music business, then you write in a particular style or genre. Now, can I do other styles? Yes. But the target audience for that, I'm writing music to fit a certain audience. Okay. Now, the beauty of Spotify and this new revolution, since we don't have record labels really anymore, a musician can do whatever they want to do. I have a jazz hop, or it's really a chill hop album I'm working on that's totally different from everything else. Totally. I mean, it's like way over here. And you get a chance to experiment and see what people like. I don't expect it to get to the radio, but the Doing the Do album, that was it. I got to get this to radio because, again, you're trying to build a brand. Right. And so I'm trying to build my brand, build my name. The Bible says a good name is what? Better than gold. So this is how this music game works, that you want to build your brand. And that's the whole purpose of that CD. And it was fun doing it. I have Walter Beasley on it. I actually called him up and I was like, whoa, he's going to do this? I don't even know you. I mean, but you're going to play on my record?
Wow.
Really? Wow. You cost this much? Okay. There you go.
That's right.
Right. And I have, right. And so so if you have not because you asked not, I just asked.
Right. Yeah. So you'll be amazed at what you would get if you just asked.
If you just ask. In fact, I called Kirk Whalum. And Kirk said, man, I would do it, man. But I've got, I got a new record coming out. And I was shocked that he answered my call.
Wow.
Right. Because musicians are not a stuck-up group of people. They'll talk to you. Yes. No matter how big they are. And
that's good to know. That's good to know. Because you would think otherwise.
Yeah, right. And I thought otherwise, so I called him and he said, oh, man, okay, sure. Hey, man, call me on your next project. I said, really? Sure.
You had shared with me in your bio that you had created a double CD set for the nonprofit organization.
Oh, wow.
Can you talk a little bit about that project?
Girl, you're going to make me dust off stuff. This is it. I just so happen to have it right here. This project is like, and it's on a CD. Who never heard of a CD? Oh my God. Well, I used to work with a group, well, they still are around, called Young Life. And we would take kids from the so-called hood up to the mountain, to a mountain. It was a Christian retreat. And they would be with us for a whole weekend. And we typically would go during the King weekend. And so what we did was we started producing some of the music that the kids were singing at the camp. Right. And so this was an amazing camp because, I mean, you got 400 kids there. You may have 100 kids give their life to Christ, and what we did was during that time, we started mixing the style of hip hop with gospel. And this predates when this was happening. Okay. And because I said to myself, all right, these are kids. This is around 1995 at the time. Okay. The music, what are they listening to? These kids are 14, 15, 16 years old. Okay, so they are not into Walter Hawkins. Okay, and not into James Cleveland.
No.
So what we did was we would sing a song and then throw a hip hop verse in it.
Mm-hmm.
And they went wild.
Mm-hmm.
I said, wow, okay. So then I said to myself, John Wesley, you were correct, because John Wesley is the founder of the United Methodist Church, or the Methodist Church.
Mm-hmm.
And here's a little known fact. Some of the hymns that we sing to this day, all right, the tune of the hymn is from a bar.
What?
Some of those tunes are barroom tunes that they sang in the bar.
Are you
Now,
serious?
I will prove it to you.
Okay.
Look in get a hymn book,
Okay.
all right? And you will see in the index, you will see first line of the song,
Mm-hmm.
okay? That is not every hymn, okay?
Right.
But then you keep going, they have the metrical index of tunes.
Okay.
Probably never noticed it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Well, some of these tunes, look, and you open up a hymn, and hymn 185, it has Christian words with it.
Okay.
But the tune came from somewhere else. And this is not every song.
Right.
Right. So every song was not just written with I'm going to sit down and we're going to write this Christian song, or this hymn of the church.
Mm-hmm.
John Wesley was taking music out of the club situation, or the bars. There was a music, basically the music that people were familiar with.
Right.
Already. That's the idea.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what we did with the Young Life CD.
Okay.
Right. So you reach a person where they are culturally, because culture comes before religion. Because if you don't reach a person's cultural viewpoint, you're not going to reach them. And what happens is, sometimes in Christendom, we have a situation where we won't acknowledge a person's culture. Case in point, Jesus talking to the woman at the well. What? His disciples said, "Are you insane?"
Right.
The cultural practice of that day was a man never said anything to a woman. A woman was a second-class citizen. All right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Children came up to him and they said, "What are you doing? These are kids. Get them out of here." No, theirs is the kingdom of heaven. So what happens is Jesus turns the whole thing upside down. He's meeting with Zacchaeus, who is a tax collector. The people that Jesus is hanging out with are not the Pharisees or the people in the temple. These are just regular old folk.
Yeah.
And so musically, you want to meet people where they are.
Right.
Not where you want them to be.
Right.
But where they are currently located.
Right.
And you go there, but you have to make sure now that you don't have whatever they were in you.
Right.
There you go.
Right. Yeah. I think that's why Kirk Franklin became so popular, because I think when he created that music, he met us where we were, and we could, and it was gospel, but like you said, it had a Patrice Russian undertone to it, and it was something that we knew, but he put the lyrics on top of it, and we were able to say, well, we're singing gospel music.
Right. Exactly. So let's go back in time. Your last great movement of Black gospel music, as far as a switch or a change, is Kirk Franklin. Without Kirk Franklin produces the Ty Tribbett's and everyone else after him.
That's true.
Let's go back. Can we keep going back? Oh, Happy Day, 1969.
Right.
It got on the radio. It was like, what? That one song ushers in a new sound of gospel.
Right.
And Walter Hawkins, Edwin Hawkins, that whole Love Center album, 1 and 2, legendary, Jermaine Hawkins. And then we get all these choirs that sound like that. Let's go back a little bit more. Okay. You've got your James Cleveland. Okay. You keep going back. You got your Thomas Dorsey. So you've had these pivotal moments in music where the music had to shift and adapt to adjust to the culture. Now we're in the CCM era, which it's just what it is. We're in the praise team era because choirs don't really exist because of what? COVID.
Yeah.
So now we have to have a praise team spread out.
Yeah.
And so you notice that the church still, and the word is still going on, regardless of whatever craziness is happening in the world, the church must adapt.
Yes.
Right. And so now you got the word of God being preached every Sunday on Facebook.
Right.
Go back 3 years, that was non-existent.
That was non-existent. That's true. That's true. That's true.
Right.
And I think just in life, you have to be adaptable to change.
You have to.
Yeah. Yes. Because if you don't, you won't exist for long.
You won't, because anything that doesn't change is a cancer. It becomes cancerous.
Right.
And that's why you have to change with music, change with musical styles, be open to all types of music, and be appreciative of everything that came before you, and appreciate the things that are coming now. Right. Because you always want to keep evolving. That's one thing I loved about Miles Davis. Miles Davis starts in the bebop era, pioneers the cool era of jazz, sets the groundwork for smooth jazz that we have now. And he's kept evolving, and you got to respect a brother like that.
Right. So I want to ask you this too, or have you just answer this. Since I've been playing, I've put it out there that I'm now playing, and I'm in my 50s. I've had quite a few people come to me to say that, I used to play such and such, long time ago, and I still haven't. I'm thinking about picking it up. Right. So I want you to speak to those that feel like they're too old to learn, but I'm here to tell you that you're not, right? But they can pick it up, and they, one young lady said, I don't think I can learn online. And I had to tell her, I said, what you just saw me perform, I worked with my music teacher online. Right. So I think it goes back to what you were talking about your mind. You have to be open. Instead of saying I can't learn online, you have to say, well, I really want to learn, and I can learn online. Right. So speak to those people that feel like they're too old, but no, you're not.
Well, one of the biggest lies that's been told about anything is that after a certain age, you can't learn. Okay. Okay. That's ridiculous. Okay. And I'll prove it to you. All right. People have the notion that a young person can learn quicker. Now, it does work for languages. I'll give you that. Okay. But everything else, because there's a window when you can learn a language just like that. Okay. But doesn't mean you can't learn a language. But here's what's happening. A kid, the illusion is he's got music and he's doing it. Right. The kid does not have a life. They don't do anything. They don't do anything. They go to school and they come home. Yeah. They don't pay bills. They don't work. They don't do anything. Okay. Now watch this. A grown person has these other challenges. They're grown. Life has come in. Right. Now, if you were to think like a child again, you can learn anything. If you were to adjust your schedule, then when you got home from work, as though you got home from school, the first thing you do is pick up your instrument. Right. And you start playing, you start studying, because if you were 15 years old, that's what you would do. Right? Right. No, you're right. Now, what happens is this. Older people have this notion that if I don't get it just like that, I failed. No, your brain has to carve a neural path to complete what you're asking it to do. Okay? For example, I play bass a little bit. Okay, now I'm gonna prove it to you. All right. So I'm playing, a scale, I'm playing F, G, A, B flat, C. Now, when I first started, I had to go very slow. Right. The more I did it, I got faster and faster, because the brain, once you say, I'm going to do this, the brain says, sure, give me a chance to make the connection, to do that thing. But what happens is we don't get it on the first or second try. We get frustrated and we put it down.
Yeah.
Kids don't do that. They just keep playing with it. And as far as they're concerned, it's just play.
Right.
You know, and so,
yeah.
And here's what the good book says. Unless you're basic like a child, you can't enter the kingdom of God. You have to have a childlike thinking.
Yeah.
And you have to shed all of the adult craziness. Just put it aside. Okay? And we understand you got to pay bills. I get it. But if you put the time in, you can do anything you want to do. You can learn a new language. You can learn how to computer program. It's there. But if you don't do it, nothing's going to happen. That's just it. If I want to play clarinet, like I think Miss Jackson wants to play clarinet again. Miss Jackson,
yeah, she said she desires to play the clarinet again.
Then you go buy your clarinet and watch this. Buy you a little inexpensive clarinet, and as you get better, keep going. And the other thing is to get around people who are encouraging. Stay away from these, I call them dream vampires. Why are you doing all that? Don't you think you're too old to be doing? No, you're never too old to do anything. All right? The day that you think that you're too old to do something, it's time for you to get off the planet.
Right. Right.
You know
you told me to beware of fallen angels.
Yes.
I'm never going to forget that.
They will come around you and it's like, what are you doing? No, stay away from them. Stay around and it makes you want to keep going.
Yeah, it does.
Right. It does. When someone says, oh, I like how that sounds, I'm going to go home and practice some more.
Yeah.
Because listen, I don't know all the music. Okay? I've been playing music for 50 years. I still have to practice. I'm still on YouTube watching and learning. I still do that. There you go.
Right. Yeah, the comments are coming in. She said, truth be told, speak life.
Just got to speak life. You got to live life.
Faith said, and the parents don't let them quit after their financial investments have been made. They'll threaten them.
oh. I told you, my sister told me, you are going to play an instrument. She told me what you're going to do. Right. So, and yes, for YouTube. Yeah, you got that right. I can learn all kind of stuff on YouTube.
Yeah, right. YouTube University.
However, warning, if your car mechanic is fixing your car and he looks on YouTube on how to fix it, run.
Yeah. And let me tell you what's so funny. So I'm going to tell you this right quick. So I learned a song. I can't remember which one, but I found a YouTube video. And my music teacher tell you, I have to learn it the right way.
Okay.
So I found a YouTube video to play this song.
Okay.
And then I said, that doesn't sound right. But it was thumping, but I'm like, that was something. So I found a second YouTube video and I learned it that person's way. So when I had class, I was so excited. I said, listen, I learned this song, but I don't know which way is right. So he had to tell me that too. Because sometimes on YouTube, they may have you playing it wrong. They may come up with their own key or their own way of playing it. And so we went through both ways, and he ended up telling me, which way was right. And then he said, okay, so we're going to practice it this way. And then he got me into iReal Pro and had me to download.
Wow.
Progression. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I'm to that point.
No, that's a major point. That means you're reading chord changes. No, that's major. Do you know how major that is?
No, I guess not, but he keeps telling me it is.
Listen. For our audience out here, this is what she's saying. I hope y'all can see this. Let me see if I can get over here. I don't know if you can see it, but you can't really see it. But there's a software that has chord changes on it to 1 million songs. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I use this app all the time. I read the chord changes.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know every song, And so I write it out, and I actually put it in this app so I can remember it. Or if someone calls some jazz standard, I just pull it up and I play the chord changes. And that is amazing that you're doing that. That's yes, because see, when you play music, you want to learn all of it at one time. Okay, the American way of teaching music, like piano, it's kind of crazy because see, Bach and Beethoven and all them, they learned how to compose, they learned music theory, they learned play. It was all at one time. So you're learning how to read. You got your book. You're gonna read, you want to listen to a record and play by ear. You have to learn it sort of all at one time because there's a danger. Sometimes you can get so focused in on just the music that your ear never develops.
Right.
Pick your favorite song. It's a simple song and learn it by ear. Yeah. Let me go get the sheet music. Let me go look at it and see how that looks, because you have to do it all at one time.
Right. Well, yeah, my music teacher keeps telling me that. So thank you, Derwin.
Right. That's pretty. That's because listen, if you can read the chord changes, then you could do a gig.
That's what he keeps telling me.
Right. Listen, we just don't all memorize all the music. Okay.
Yeah.
Why would I go and memorize this crazy song and I'm going to play it one time?
Yeah. Right. Correct.
Right. Correct. And so I feel sorry for musicians who don't read, even read chord changes. You're forced down this one level. You have to memorize it. That's it. Whereas this other guy can whip out his phone or his iPad and just play along with it. Next one, play along with it. Next one, play along with it. And he's the one that gets the gig.
Right. And that's what he's been doing. He taught me about iReal Pro and chord progressions and picking out songs and see if I can, download the chord progressions and then play with the song.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, Jody, thank you so much for allowing me to interview you. It has been a treat. I have had so much fun with you. You stay there, and I'm going to tell everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you next Wednesday, same time, same place. Goodbye, everybody.
All right.